restart because this is. I'm sorry, but
It's okay. It's
I don't want
okay.
to mess up, but like it's.
It's okay because we can edit.
Okay, I got him. Yeah, I have all this.
Can you just like put that on?
Yeah, just cut
I don't have
all
to
this
wait
off
for
like
it.
this point.
Okay.
I'd like to say a special good morning to all the ladies and gentlemen in here, the opposing counsel, and the court staff, including the judge. Now what this case is going to be about is, well, there was a woman named Milan, okay? And she went to a college and wanted to join a fraternity. Well, during this, on the campus, there was a very bad case of hazing, which to some people, I don't know if you know what that means, but it's pretty much where it's like an initiation for the new freshmen, you could say, to join the fraternity that they want to be in. Well, Milan was severely drinking one night and was being really abused by all the other women in the fraternity. And one of the hazing process that was being conducted there was that she had to take she had to go up on top of a bell tower and she had to hang a flag. And the bell tower it wasn't short. A fall would definitely kill you. Well, one night, like I said, she had been drinking and with a bunch of the friends from the fraternity, and they were able to convince her to go up there. She got up there, and the lead person from the fraternity, named Chris, also for Christine, there were witnesses that said that she had ended up pushing Milan off, and she fell to her death. And that is what this statement is about. That'll be it.
We are here today because our client, Chris Archer, or Christine, has been wrongly accused of first-degree murder. Our team will prove that she is innocent. Chris Archer plays a big role on the Columbus campus. She tutors local kids and helps battered women. And she doesn't seem like the typical type of teenage girl to go off and murder someone. And we will have 3 witnesses by the names of Jesse Thomas, Jordan Mitchell, and Tyler Johnson testify.
The prosecution can call the first witness. From which side? Like ours?
Yeah, because you only call your witnesses.
Okay.
I like to call up Dr. Allen something.
Sorry, I worked up this day.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
So help you God.
Yes.
Are you familiar with gangs like Gamma?
Yes.
In what way?
I studied gangs for 5 years.
Why did you choose to study gangs? What was your connection to Milan?
Juan was one of my patients.
What were some of the things that you found kind of weird about her, or something that did not seem normal?
Around the time Milan joined Gamma, she came to my
She's covered? Not yet.
She had come to my office and she seemed really jittery when I had asked her about how things were going with the gang.
Did she reply with anything, or did she stay silent?
No, she got really defensive about it.
Did she appear to be nervous?
Yes, she was really nervous and she continued to try to avoid the question.
Do you think Milan would have done such a act, considering the fact that she wasn't afraid of bullets?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
Defense for call.
Nope. Caleb.
Stay.
Defense for cross examination.
How do you know Malene Johnson?
She was one of my patients.
I'm sorry, I don't have anything because Hannah told me to write things for her.
Okay, well, let's think about what he just said, he is an expert, he's an expert on hazing. Did we find out what kind of patient she was? What kind of doctor is he? What makes him an expert witness? Because they've introduced him as an expert witness. Okay, so think along those lines.
Have you ever seen anything like this happen to other sort of hazing groups?
Yes.
And what gives you the authority to be a professional witness or a reliable witness?
I studied hazing for 5 years.
What sort of degree do you have?
On the roll.
Do you have any evidence tying the murder to my client, Kristen?
She was considering trying to become the head of the new Gamma.
Alright, that's all the questions I have.
Prosecution for redirect.
Prosecution for redirect.
Hey, Sarah, do you have anything else you need to ask him? He just needs to tell Talia, then excuse the witness.
Excuse the witness.
Prosecution. They need to call their next witness.
Prosecution call the next witness.
Mrs. Smith?
Right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Mrs. Smith, when did you and Milan become friends? When you guys was pledging, what happened? Did you get any strange information about becoming a Gamma? Is it true that your best friend was getting bullied because she didn't want to sell her body?
Yes.
What happened on November 17th?
He made us go to this party, and they blindfolded us, and they made us drink alcohol.
Why did you have an asthma attack?
Both they made us stay outside undressed.
Is it true that Chris and some of the Gammas came to visit you at the hospital?
Yes.
What was said?
They threatened me if we just threatened me not to tell the truth about what happened.
Who did you tell?
I told the dude.
Did he believe you?
30 seconds.
Is it true that they forced y'all to drink?
Yes.
What did y'all drink? Is it true that Chris called for Milan?
Yes.
What was said?
I didn't remember.
Alright, that's it.
Time.
Fix the cross. Defense or cross.
Okay. How long did you know Milan?
We went in third grade and went to school together. College.
Can you repeat the last part?
We went to school together, all through elementary, middle and high, and we went to college together.
Do you think Milan would? Okay. Do you think Milan has like problems like emotionally?
Mm.
You're done the prosecution.
Okay.
Read it. Hold on.
Prosecution for redirect.
What was said when Chris called Milan?
She just called her name, and I heard Chris walk on through the house.
Is it true that Chris said that she had a surprise for her?
Yes.
Is it true that Milan is scared of heights?
Yes.
Have Milan been up to the tower before?
No.
You're done, that's fine.
prosecution, call the next meeting.
I would like to call Tyler to the stand.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth,
Yes.
nothing but the truth,
Yes.
the whole truth?
Yes.
So help me God. So help you God.
What was your relationship with Chris?
We were friends.
What was your relationship with Milan?
We were also friends.
How often do you guys hang out?
Whenever we have the time.
Did you ever see any hate or jealousy towards Milan from Kristen?
No.
No? Were you drinking the night of the murder?
Yes.
Was Milan drinking?
Yes.
And what about Chris?
Yes.
Were you jealous of Chris enough to accuse her of murder?
No.
Were you a part of the hazing?
Yes.
What was your part in it?
Watched what happened.
Do you think that Chris realized that Milan would do anything to become a part of Vienna and may have taken control over that?
Yes.
Do you think that Chris had any hate built up against Milan?
Yes.
Do you believe that she would do such an act?
Yes.
Did you see Chris push Milan off the clubhouse?
No.
Did you see anything that night before Milan fell?
I saw Chris whisper something in Milan did.
Did you hear what she whispered?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Defense or cross?
No?
Tyler, how would you categorize your relationship with Chris and Milan?
Good friends.
Is it typical in your circle of friends for there to be any jealous acts?
No.
No? Would you could say that you all shared all your feelings with each other?
No.
Okay, so what would give you the authority to speak on whether Chris was jealous of Milan?
Because she beat him out for president.
But do you know that Chris was jealous of Milan?
No.
You said you were part of the hazing by watching and observing, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. At any point, did you feel like you should stop the process?
No.
So would you then say that anything that occurred because of what was going on would have been an unintentional side effect
Yes.
with no premeditation?
Yes.
We rest.
Prosecution for redirect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll do that for you too. Oh, you want me to do it for you right now?
Yeah. Some of it is.
Who organized the event? Did you have any part in the organization of the event?
No.
With Chris being the person in charge of the event, did you feel at any time like you had the opportunity to put a stop to the event?
Yes.
Well. Okay.
What else you got?
Not much. I already used up all of it.
When, prior to Chris and Milan fighting over the presidency for the new Gamma chapter, would you say their relationship was extremely close or somewhat close?
Somewhat close.
Did you see their relationship split after that? Or did they still seem to be somewhat close?
Somewhat close.
The witness may be excused.
We called all of our witnesses.
Defense can call their first witness.
Defense can call the first witness.
We call our first witness, Kristen Archer, to the stand.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth?
Yeah.
Nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
The whole truth?
Yeah.
So help you God?
Yeah.
I know. How did you know Milan Jackson?
We were friends.
What type of relationship did you guys have?
A friendship.
How did the other Gamma members like Milan?
They liked her well enough.
What was her attitude like?
At first she seemed really nice, but as time went on, she seemed more and more upset.
How were Pat and Elaine related?
They were good friends.
Is there another reason why Pat would make up all these lies?
Because she was not accepted into Gamma, and she's upset about that.
Explain Hell and Rush Week.
Hell Week is where everyone does the pledges, and Rush Week is when everyone signs up.
Now be honest, have you ever forced any of your Gamma recruits to drink?
No.
Is it true that Melaine was upset the night she died?
Yes.
Arrest.
Prosecution for cause.
Chris, is it true that you intended to make Milan go to the ledge and hang a flag because she was scared of heights?
Not because she was scared of heights, but I did make her do that.
Chris, if you was trying to save Milan, why did you push her instead of pulling her?
Because I didn't push her.
Okay. Chris, if she wasn't drunk when you guys made her drink, why was her blood alcohol 0.10?
Can you re-ask that question?
If she wasn't drunk when y'all made her take the 3 shots, why was her alcohol, or her blood alcohol 0.10?
Because she was drunk.
Is it true that you slipped something in her drink?
No.
Defense for redirect. Next witness.
Okay, the defense calls Dean Jesse Thomas for this.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Truth.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
You stated in your witness report that you were an expert on hazing. How?
Because I am the campus dean and I know a lot about the fraternities and sororities and about their hazing.
You also stated that you are personally tied to Christine Archer. How?
Well, she is a credit to the university and she helps out along with the community and elementary school. And she did a public announcement of hazing and how it was wrong
How long have you worked at Columbus University?
since 1987.
Do you think someone like Christine Archer could murder someone?
No, I don't believe that is possible.
Do you think Milan had some type of emotional issue?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Well, her aunt was one of the presidents a while back in the fraternity, and I feel that maybe she was kind of jealous of her and wanted to be the president.
Do you think she would jump off that ledge?
Yes, possibly. Maybe because she was just so emotional.
Okay.
Prosecution, cross. You said that.
The letter has a personal memo from the dean to Chris about raising a flag, about any complaints against Gamma. Dean,
Yes.
is it true that you sent a letter across to all the students with a personal memo to Chris?
I did send a letter to all the students about hazing, and yeah, I did personalize it to Chris.
Is it also true that you received a complaint about Gamma that was later reminisced against once the police arrived?
Well, I did have a complaint from Pat Smith about hazing at Gamma, but then we realized that it was a lie.
Are you so sure that is a lie due to how prestigious Gamma is? There would not be any repercussions against her.
Yes, we found out that she had an asthma attack, but we didn't know why.
Alright.
Any other prosecution?
The judge would like to call a redirect.
Oh. They still have time?
Is it true that Mrs. Smith came up to you and told you what happened after she got to the hospital?
Yes.
And why didn't you believe her?
Because the police had found out that it was a lie, and we couldn't send it to the campus security, because it was.
Okay.
What did the personalized letter consist of that you sent to Christine Archer?
Dean Smith, could we ask you to read the personalized letter that you sent to the campus, which was introduced as evidence moments ago?
Thank you. Okay. Can you start at the top where it says to students?
Yes. Read the whole letter.
To students of Columbus University from Office of the Dean, date November 18th, 1998, and the subject is campus hazing policy. This memo is a reminder to all campus university students that hazing is a violation of campus policy and a crime. We will suspend any fraternities, sororities, or any other organizations that haze their potential members. In addition, if we find any student has hazed another student, that student will be brought before the campus tribunal and will risk expulsion. A student who hazes is also at risk of criminal prosecution, and if found guilty may have to face up to a year of jail time. If you are thinking of hazing, think again. Chris, whatever you do, do not let me hear of any complaints from pledges about Gamma. Dean Thomas.
So if you got a complaint from him and you might have thought, well, you thought that it was not true, then why would you say in your letter that you do not want to hear of it again?
It's okay, she can answer the question. She has to read.
Because I like the Gamma fraternity.
The bids for rewrite?
And the evidence back to fail. For redirect? Whoever.
Okay, I have. So, how did you react to the death of Milan?
I was very saddened about it, and I wish she could have told me something so I could have offered my help to her.
What do you personally think about Chris Archer?
I think he's a great, or she is a great girl, teenager.
Okay, we're gonna press.
Is it scheme?
Would the bids like to call any more witnesses?
I'd like to call Dr. Jordan Mitchell instead.
He's very sad and true. Nothing but the truth. Yes. The whole truth. Yes. So help you God. Yes.
How are you an expert on hazing?
I studied it for 25 years.
How long have you studied the history of the four colleges?
25 years.
Why is hazing banned?
It's very dangerous and it causes serious injuries and or death.
What fraternity or sorority do you believe is involved in this? That's all the questions I have.
Dr. Mitchell, within your studies of hazing, have you ever seen an accident like this?
No.
No. Okay. Have you seen anything like this attached to the gammas?
No.
When you saw something like this attached to the gammas, was it determined that it was murder or was it an accidental death?
Accidental.
Did you ever meet the deceased?
No.
Did you ever talk with Christine Archer?
Yes.
And what was your impression of
30
Christine?
seconds.
She was real nice and kind.
Have you ever met Pat Smith?
Yes.
What was your interaction with Pat Smith?
I paid her $1,000 for evidence.
So you paid Pat Smith to tell the story of Christine Archer murdering Milan.
Yes.
No further questions.
Prosecution's cross.
Doctor, what is your field of study in?
Hazing.
Hazing. What is can you give us an in-depth look at all the hazing accidents from past history in the gamut?
Well, they've had they've had injuries, like such as serious injuries, and they've had one death.
What do you mean by serious injuries?
They just got hurt real bad and they fell.
Is there anything else that's happened that has been quite severe as the death that's occurred? No.
Doctor, in your book, it talks about a type of hazing called flag raising that has been perpetrated by the gamut 4 times beforehand. What would you end up saying? What is your opinion about the events that could lead up to it?
It's just you could get seriously injured and they need to ban it. They banned it, so you shouldn't do it.
30 seconds.
Amongst the witness statements, there was evidence of Tyler hearing the words raise and flag from Christine to Milan. From that, would you consider that what Milan was sent to do was flag raising?
Yes.
You got a redirect? Cole? You got a redirect? Do you want me to redirect, or you're good? Okay.
The witness may be excused. Does anyone need to question any witnesses?
Prosecution?
Yes.
Which witness do you need to call?
Would like to bring up Christine.
Do I have to swear in?
Yes, you can. You have to swear in again. It's a different swear every time.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth,
Yes.
the whole truth,
Yeah.
and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
So help you God.
Considering the fact that Milan was of a small stature, only weighing 125 pounds and 5'2", do you think the amount of alcohol that she had took would get her, drunk, I guess?
I'm not a professional. I don't know.
But usually if you are smaller, it takes less for you to be drunk.
Well, that's good to know.
Would you say that she was jealous of her?
That I was jealous of her?
Yes.
No, I wasn't.
Because people said that they thought and kind of seen things that would say that she was jealous.
What would that be?
That you would give her these looks.
Could you give me an example?
No.
Okay.
And it was also stated that people did not like Milan for some of the, her attitude that she would have. Maybe when she was drinking, she would seem stuck up. Is that true?
Yeah, she'd seem kind of sad when she was drunk.
Sad?
Yeah, kind of stuck up.
Well, earlier you stated that she was kind.
Yeah, when she wasn't drunk, she was kind.
Do you consider yourself to be a good person?
Yes.
Even through all the heinous acts that have been committed so far?
Acts of what?
Such as purposely getting Milan drunk numerous times, forcing them to eat dirt,
30 seconds.
attempting to get Milan set up with one of your friends to have sexual acts happen, but she did not, so you singled her out and pretty much put peer pressure on her to make her feel bad. Is this true?
No.
Even through the witnesses that have seen this?
I don't know. I don't know what they said.
That's all.
Okay.
Anyone else need to recall a witness? Anyone have any other questions for Ms. Archer? Yes, Ms. Johnson.
The witness may be excused. Closing statements.
I would like to thank all the ladies and gentlemen here, the opposing class and jury staff, court staff, excuse me, for spending the time here to listen to our arguments. When case comes to close, we all have evidence, whether witnesses or just personal views set on Chris, that track us to see that she isn't the sweet little girl that she appears to be. Whether you all believe that or not. But after restating all the evidence, reviewing the witnesses, it's hard to see that she is innocent.
Finish your closing.
So what? Thank you. Thank you so much.
1 minute. I mean, we got 3 minutes.
In the facts presented to you today, we have shown you not only did Milan die, but Milan died specifically at the hands of Christine Archer. She planned the event, she executed the event. It was well known that the defendant hazed her pledges. How do we know that it was well known? By the letter that Dean Jesse Thomas sent to the entire campus, naming Chris specifically as a hazing threat. You've also heard testimony today from friends of Milan about the rift that was growing between Chris and Milan. We've all been young once, and we all know what happens when two girls grow apart. So while it's very sad, and Chris looks like such a sweet little angel sitting over there, you need to remember just exactly what goes on when two girls are no longer friends. The prosecution rests.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'd like to thank you for your attention this morning. It's important that Chris is to experience a fair hearing from his peers. In this case, my client did not murder Malay, but in fact it was an accident. As prosecutors pointed out, it is up to the state to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that my client did not commit murder. It is clear this morning, through all testimonies given, that the state has not met their burden of proof. This is why I'm calling for you to come back with a verdict of not guilty. Thank you.
Because I can play with that. So some of the things that the defense would like you to remember is that to come back with a conviction for first-degree murder, there has to be known premeditation with an intent to kill. Did Chris Archer set up this hazing? Probably so. Did she mean for Milan to die? I don't think the prosecution has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that her intent was to murder. Did she make a bad choice? Yes. Have we all made a bad choice? Also yes. Is it one that should land her in jail for the rest of her life? Is she truly responsible? Was Milan pushed? No. Did Chris hold a gun to Milan's head, make her climb the bell tower to hang that flag? Also, no. Milan had every opportunity to say no, and she didn't. Therefore, the defense asks that you rule this as an accidental death. And we rest.
All rise. The court will now take a 7-minute recess for deliberations.
Okay, now you can sit back. Okay, so y'all have done really well.
I'm shaking the whole time. This
Well-
isn't my fault. He's mad at me because he didn't do cross-examination.
The video's still
I'm
running.
confused.
Alright, so these are the things that I want you to think about, because they're deliberating. What did you get from this? What did you learn? Because several of you have really surprised me today with things that you came out with. Kashana.
Next time, I think that I'll be prepared and want more evidence.
Okay. What'd you learn about the court system?
If I ever want to go to court, I want to be what I am now.
You want to be the bailiff?
Yeah.
Well, the bailiff is a much better position than the defendant, Keith, so you keep shooting for bailiff. Yes.
Well, at first I kind of understood the court system, but now I totally get it, how the whole process works.
Right, so Jacob's team's job, right, was to prove not just that Milan died, because obviously we know she died, but to prove that it's Chris's fault and that Chris did it premeditated, right? Beyond a reasonable doubt. That means that if those two out there have any doubt as to whether this was premeditated, it's a not guilty. Cole's team's job was to place one doubt. Who has the harder job?
Cold.
They do. We do.
They do. This side has to show that you did it beyond any doubts. All you have to do is poke a hole big enough to make somebody go, not sure. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Witnesses. What y'all think?
Hard.
Sometimes I would get nervous and I didn't know why because I knew that I didn't actually do anything. Well, I was kind of tired.
Yeah, props to Hannah.
I was tired of being up there, so I'm like, could you make that face?
No, but you answered, those were really good answers. What did y'all think, witnesses? Jacob Hensley, when I walked up there, your eyes got as big as teacups. Did the rest of y'all see that? I walked up and Jacob went. Right? Did it scare you when I came up?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's because she knows what she's doing.
Cole felt
She know what to
really,
do.
he felt like he got B-slapped when he told him to sit.
Sorry. I was trying to help you.
He was like,
I've only had the question Hannah. I didn't know.
he didn't know.
So it was the understanding of, that you have to cross-examine every witness, right?
I didn't know that.
No, he didn't like the cross-examination.
No, he had to do
What else? What else did you get from this? What's the takeaway?
You could never have enough questions.
You can never have enough questions. You should always have way more questions than what you think you're going to need.
Is there an actual time to summon her actual court case?
Not like this. In mock trials there is, but not really. You can't badger the witness, but, you know. Anything else? What'd you take away from this? These are the things I want you to think about, because that's what you're gonna write in your notebook.
Speaking in a crowd, speaking in front of people.
Speaking in front of people,
I like to do that. I was nervous.
right? What about the way it works? Who do we call first? Prosecution. Why does the prosecution go first?
Because then we don't have any defendants.
Right. Why does your defense get to have the last remarks?
So they can go off basically what we said.
Right. What's harder, the direct or the cross? Hold on, you can't come back. Are you ready? Yeah. You have to all rise then.
All right.
All right, you do. The Honorable Judge Kelly and Judge Volchan are back in session. You may be seated. Would the defendant and counsel please rise? Not the witnesses, the counsel. Your attorney. Would you pronounce your verdict?
The defendant is guilty of criminal hazing and innocent of first-degree murder.
Oh,
Okay, so I'll unvideos now. Everybody can sit down. So let's talk for a minute.